Hey, welcome back, everyone. First, quick reminder. We've got a newsletter now. Go sign up using the links that are in the show notes. That's all. Now let's get on with the show. Picture this. You're standing at a crossroads, staring down an unmarked trail. There's no map. You just got your gut, whatever tools that you've gathered along the way. It's exciting. But let's be honest, it's also a little unnerving, isn't it? Now, this trail isn't about just changing your surroundings. It's about redefining yourself. You're leaving behind a life where you had a mission, you had a purpose, a clear sense of who you were. But ahead, well, in front of you, is something new, something waiting to be shaped by you. But here's the thing. The journey ahead of you isn't random. It's not luck that determines whether you stumble or you're going to be sure-footed. It's preparation, it's mindset, and strategy. So shift your perspective and tackle what's next, looking at situations from the bright side. So with that, let's get into round 56 of the tactical transition tips. This time, the topic is be default optimistic. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, have a growth mindset. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in about 5 years or so, surround yourself with positive influences. And for the long range group, those of you with over a decade or more ahead of you, learn patience.
You transition out is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know? That's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group, you have to have a growth mindset. You're staring down the transition barrel right now. I don't need to tell you how big this feels. You're moving from something you've known, something you've mastered, into a world that might feel foreign, maybe even a bit overwhelming. But the good news is you're not alone in feeling this way. And the better news, you have more tools than you realize to make this transition successful. So first, let's talk about mindset, specifically a growth mindset. You've probably heard the term before, but if you haven't, it's a belief that your skills and abilities aren't fixed, that they can evolve with effort, learning, and persistence. But it's more than just a concept. It's actually a game changer for navigating this phase of your life. Think about it. In your career, you adapted constantly, whether it was a new mission, an unfamiliar piece of equipment, or a rapidly evolving situation. You found ways to learn to adapt and overcome any of those obstacles. That's a growth mindset in action. And now it's just about channeling that same adaptability into your transition. So let's start with identifying your transferable skills. Your time in service has given you a toolkit that civilians can only dream of. Leadership, decision-making under pressure, teamwork, problem solving. These are all like your superpowers. But here's the kicker. The civilian world doesn't always speak our language. So you've got to learn to rephrase these skills so that they hit home with the hiring managers. For example, it's not mission planning, it's project management. Instead of crisis response, It's effective problem solving under tight deadlines. Do a deep dive into your past duties and your experiences. And don't just think about what you did. Think about how you did it and why it mattered. Then write this down. I'm serious. Create a tangible list of your skills and your achievements. There's something about seeing them on paper that makes them feel more real. Keep this list handy and refer to it when you're writing resumes or preparing for interviews. It'll boost your confidence when you're questioning, am I qualified? And speaking of worrying, yes, we're all going to have that doubt of being qualified. You're bound to question your qualifications or your lack of qualifications almost like a weakness. Maybe you're thinking, sure, I've got some skills, but what about this stuff I don't know? This, again, is where a growth mindset really kind of kicks in. Instead of seeing gaps as limitations, treat them as opportunities. If there's a skill you're missing, go after it. Take some sort of course. Go shoulder surf somebody who's doing it, whatever it is. If you see you're lacking in it, go find a solution to it. Every step you take to close that gap is making progress. Next, let's talk about how to not get overwhelmed. The transition process can feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant. There's so much to do. There's so little time. My advice, one mission at a time. Break the process down into specific, manageable steps. First, and this is probably the easiest one, update your resume. This doesn't mean, though, slapping a job title onto a Word doc and calling it a day. Put some effort and tailor it to the job you want. I can't say this enough. Even if you're applying for the same job title, make your resume specific to that company's requirements for that job. Even if the job duties were exactly the same, the companies are going to be even slightly different. Make sure you highlight your achievements, quantify your experiences, and use language that works for the civilian world. Next, along these same lines is research industries that interest you. But think of it this way. What challenges are they facing right now? What challenges are they facing tomorrow? What are the trends in that industry? The more you understand about your target field, the better you can position yourself as the solution. Think beyond the job description. Yes, you want the job, but where are you going tomorrow? Where is the company going tomorrow? The next thing to do, and I'm sure you've heard this before, practice, practice, practice. Let that sink in. Practice for your interviews. Think back to operations you did. Think back to how many run-throughs you would do for those operations. If you could avoid it, you never went into an operation cold. You need to do the same thing for interviews. Being interviewed is a skill in itself, and it takes time to get better at it. Get someone to ask you questions. Record yourself and listen to how you sound. You really need to take this seriously and also explain to the person helping you that they need to be serious also. If you need to, borrow somebody's office, put on a suit, do whatever it takes to make it feel real. Because remember, how you train is how you're going to perform. Once you've answered these questions and you go back and listen to your responses. Refine your answers. Also, work on being able to explain your experience and your skills in a way that's going to connect with civilian employers. When you focus on each of these tasks as one mission at a time, you avoid burnout and stay dialed in. Remember, every small step forward is progress. Celebrate them like wins, no matter how small. Celebrate them. Let's also talk about a really cool tool that you can use. Again, I'm hoping maybe you've heard about it, but it's visualization. If you haven't heard of it or you've never tried it, this is going to feel a little outside your wheelhouse. But trust me, it works. Take a few minutes each day to imagine yourself succeeding. Picture yourself walking into that interview. You shake hands with the interviewer or the interviewees confidently, and you answer every question like you're in control of that interview. Visualizing this success doesn't get rid of or eliminate anxiety. That's not where I'm going with it. But what you're training your brain to do is to expect positive outcomes. You want to kick this up a notch more? Pair visualization with affirmations. I know it sounds cheesy, but again, it works. Saying things to yourself like, I'm capable of learning and succeeding in any environment can shift your mindset over time. Say them out loud, write them down, write them on sticky notes, write them on notepads, write them everywhere. Put them someplace where you can see them and read them often. Do whatever it takes to reinforce the beliefs in yourself. The last area I want to talk about is setbacks. They're inevitable. You're going to face rejections, dead ends, and moments where you just doubt yourself or the process. When that happens, remember, every no is just one step closer to a yes. Reframe a setback as a learning opportunity. After a rejection, ask yourself, what went well? What didn't go well? What could I improve? And then make notes for yourself that you can go back and review. Be able to recreate as much of that as you can. Treat every experience, good or bad, as a building block for your future. You've got this. Transitioning isn't easy, but you faced harder. Challenges, obstacles, everything in our career wasn't always easy. As a matter of fact, it was often difficult. A growth mindset isn't just a strategy. It's a belief in your ability to learn, adapt, and thrive. Lean into it. Trust the process, and remember, you're building something incredible, a future that's all yours. What powers you through your day? If you're like me, coffee's at the top of that list. So take your coffee to a new level with Trident Coffee, a veteran-owned brand that's redefining your coffee experience. Cold brew experts, their instant cold brew is a game changer. And though they roast their beans to excel as a cold brew, trust me, their coffee tastes just as amazing hot. Trident Coffee is also committed to your wellness, with ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics to help boost your focus and support your immunity. It's made for those who enjoy good coffee and value quality and health. Whether you're looking for that perfect, refreshing cold brew or a smooth cup of hot coffee to fuel your day, Trident Coffee has you covered. Head over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. That's TDP15 for 15% off your order. Medium range group. Surround yourself with positive influences. All right, you've got some time, but it's like you're driving on the highway. You see the sign, your exit is the third one down on the list, and it's 5 miles ahead. You say to yourself, I'm good. But then what happens? You're flying down the fast lane and it's, oh shit, there's my exit. Don't fall into the trap of thinking because you have a few years that you can just go on cruise mode. Keep your foot on the gas, but lay the groundwork for a successful transition. One of the most important things you can do during this time is to take a close look at your environment, specifically the people in it. Who you surround yourself with matters. It matters more than you might realize. The people you interact with day to day influence your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your trajectory. Let me put it this way. Imagine you were training for a marathon. If you're running alongside people, or trying to, who are faster, stronger, and more experienced than you, they're going to push you to improve. But if you're running with people who don't take training seriously, maybe they skip runs, or while they're getting ready to do it or going to go do it, all they do is complain about how hard it is, you're more likely to adopt those same habits. These same principles apply to your career transition. So then if you're asking yourself, how do I start? Start by surrounding yourself with positive influences. First, audit your inner circle. It's going to maybe sound a little harsh, but it's necessary. Take a good look at the people you spend the most time with and ask yourself, are they helping me grow or are they holding me back? You need to think of people in three categories. Are they energizers? Are they neutrals? Or are they drainers? Energizers are the ones who lift you up. They encourage you, challenge you, and inspire you to be better. Neutrals, on the other hand, don't necessarily push you forward, but they also don't hold you back. And then there's the drainers. Those are the ones whose negative is their middle name. They might cause you to doubt yourself, or they just bring unnecessary stress into your life. Your goal here is simple. Spend more time with energizers, maintain balance with the neutrals, and limit your exposure to the drainers. And let me be clear, this doesn't mean cutting people out of your life, especially if those drainers are close friends or family. It just means setting boundaries. For example, we all know those people who are always about what's wrong for them. It's like they seem to be more happy when they're knocking everything around them. And then it never fails. They drag conversations into that negativity. Here's your challenge. Steer those discussions toward more positive or talking positively about how to change things. But regardless, understand that there's just people in your life who will drain you, and you need to find ways to limit how much they draw you to the bottom. Something else to consider, and this is going to sting also. Are you the drainer to other people? Are you the one always seeing the negatives? That mindset of, no one understands me. If this is you, I would strongly recommend you work on reframing your mindset before you get to your transition. Which brings me to the next step. Find new influences. Intentionally seek out people who are on the same page with where you want to go. Start with networking events. Yes, I constantly talk about networking. And yes, I know doing this can feel awkward, but it's valuable. Look for groups or professional organizations that cater to veterans or first responders. The one thing that we have going for us, the majority of our society around us respects us, and they'll often want to help us. You can also look for groups in your target industry. But regardless where you look, find people who are already where you want to be or are on a similar path and will encourage you. If you can, try to find these people local to you. In-person connections generally are better than online. But at the same time, platforms like LinkedIn are gold mines for making professional connections with people that you may not have access to. Start by finding people in the desired field that you want to get to. Start engaging with them. Respond to their posts. Get your name in front of their face. Then, after a few responses, then go ahead and send that connection request. But remember, be sure to include some type of personal note along with that request. And remember this, they're not like baseball cards. It's not about collecting as many contacts as possible. It's about building purposeful relationships with people who can offer guidance, insight, or opportunities to you. Here's something else you can do. Each month, find one new energizer. Reach out to someone on LinkedIn, go to an in-person networking event, or even reconnect with a friend or a former coworker, but somebody who inspires you. Just one a month. But these small steps, what they'll do is they're going to compound over time as you grow this group. Next, you need to look at accountability. Surrounding yourself with positive influences isn't just about soaking up their good vibes. It's also about finding people who are going to hold you accountable. An accountability partner can be a game changer. This could be someone who's also preparing for their transition, or someone further along in their journey, maybe a friend or former coworker who's already made their transition. The idea with this is to have regular check-ins where you discuss your goals and your progress and the challenges you're facing. Think of it this way. If you're working out and you've got a gym partner, you're more likely to show up and push yourself harder. That same concept applies to having someone that you can share your wins with and your struggles with, and is going to keep you motivated and on track towards your transition. Now, for those of you trying to hide in the back, saying to yourself, but what if I'm struggling to find positive influences? What if my current environment feels like it's holding me back and I don't know where to start? First, don't panic. Building a new network takes time. Start by focusing on one area where you can make a change. Maybe it's joining some sort of professional group or take some type of class. These little things create opportunities for you to meet new people and then expand your circle or rebuild your circle. And if you're worried about being the new guy in these spaces, let me remind you, every one of the people in these groups have been where you're at. They understand what it's like to start fresh. And most of them are probably more than willing to help. Don't let the fear of any judgment hold you back. Here's the bottom line. Your environment matters. Who you surround yourself with matters. And the benefit of where you are right now is that you have time to build these relationships, time to strengthen your mindset, and time to set yourself up for success. So take stock of your inner circle. Start building connections with people who lift you up and inspire you. Find that accountability partner. Set some boundaries and take one step towards surrounding yourself with positive influences. You ever feel like your body just isn't keeping up like it used to? We all know that life doesn't slow down, and sometimes the grind catches up. Lower energy, lagging focus, or a dip in motivation. Human Performance TRT understands the need to regain your edge. As a veteran and first responder-owned company, they're not just another telehealth provider. They take a full spectrum approach to your health, crafting personalized plans that go beyond hormones. There's no locked-in subscriptions, no hassles. Everything is delivered directly to your door, so you can stay focused on what really matters. Also, if you're already on a hormone replacement program, you can switch over seamlessly with recent blood work. There's no extra tests required if your labs are under 6 months old. So are you ready to optimize your health? Visit hptrt.com and see what personalized care looks like. And don't forget to use the promo code TDP for 10% off your program. Long range group. Learn patience. For those of you just starting your careers, or you've got at least a decade before your transition, your transition might feel like a someday problem that you can deal with later. But the truth is, none of us can predict the future. And you might literally be in the close range group tomorrow. And one of the most valuable skills that you can cultivate in this stage of your journey is patience. Now, I know what you're thinking. Patience, that's not exactly the flashiest or the most exciting skill. But hear me out on this one. Patience isn't about sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's about trusting the process and staying consistent and making small, meaningful moves that are going to compound and build over time. It's like a long-term investment plan. Let's start with the big picture. A decade or more feels like an eternity right now. But here's the thing. Time moves fast, and the habits, skills, and networks that you build today will determine how smoothly your transition happens, however far down the road it is. So instead of focusing on the outcome, what job you'll land, what career you'll choose, focus on the process. First, set process-oriented goals. These are goals that focus on actions you can take consistently rather than focusing on the end result. For example, instead of saying, I need to figure out my dream job, start with, I'm going to learn one new skill this year, or I'll attend one networking event each quarter. And why does this matter? Because when you're focused solely on the long-term outcome, it's easy to get overwhelmed or discouraged if things don't go exactly as planned. Process-oriented goals keep you grounded, allowing you to see progress along the way. The next thing you can do, celebrate small wins. Look, I get it. When you're thinking long-term, it's easy to overlook the small stuff. That's why you need to take stock of every little step and make sure that every step forward matters. Did you finish a new class? Celebrate it. Look for ways to keep you motivated. Did you connect with somebody in an industry that you're curious about? That's a win. Recognizing these moments keeps you motivated. And it reinforces the idea that progress isn't always about big jumps. It's about that slow and steady climb or that slow and steady grind. Along the lines of staying motivated, let's talk about resilience. Because let's face it, life's unpredictable. You might have a vision for your future today, but things can and probably will change. Maybe the industry you're interested in now shifts, or your personal priorities evolve. Whatever it is, bottom line, Resilience is about staying adaptable and bouncing back from setbacks. So how do you build it? Start with mindfulness. I know that sounds simple, but taking a few minutes each day to be present, to breathe, reflect. And I would recommend starting a journal. But doing these things can make a huge difference. Another tool that you can add into your toolkit is reframe challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, look at them as opportunities to make you grow and make yourself better. For example, let's say you're given a difficult project at work. Instead of bitching about it, instead of dreading it, think about what skills you can develop from doing it. But on the other hand, I want to touch on something that doesn't get enough attention. Preparing for the unexpected. Even with years of planning, life has a way of throwing curveballs. Maybe you face an injury. Maybe there's a change in your current organization. Maybe you have a shift in your career goals. Being prepared for these moments also starts today. Something else you need to think about, though, is in conjunction with skills planning, build in an emergency fund. Financial talk can be dry, I get it. But trust me on this also. It's critical to get it going. Start small. $20 a paycheck, $50 a paycheck, whatever you can afford, and let it grow over time. This theme is going to keep coming back, but it's over time as opposed to big jumps. Having that financial buffer isn't just about security. It's about giving yourself the freedom to pivot when life throws you a curveball or presents you with an unexpected opportunity that wasn't in your career plan. Another way you can prepare is explore alternative career paths. This doesn't mean, though, that you have to give up on your career today. It also doesn't mean that you have to decide on a backup career today. It's more about staying curious with jobs that grab your attention. What skills or certifications might you need to get to transition into one of those jobs? Start planting those seeds now so that when the time comes, you're going to have options. And while you're on the subject of skills, think about always diversifying your skill set. The more versatile you are, the more opportunities are going to come your way, not only in the future, but right now in your current job. It doesn't mean that you need to become a master of everything. I would find those that you really like and definitely lean into them, but don't pigeonhole yourself. Something like learning a new technology that's coming into your field, AI, drones, whatever it is, picking up a second language. Develop your public speaking skills. And yeah, we're talking about your future, but remember, bumping up your skills now makes you more valuable to your organization. The more pieces of the puzzle that you bring to the table now gives you more opportunities. So it's a win-win. You improve now and you improve later. If you're wondering, how do I balance all of this and have my current job? The answer to that is build yourself a personal growth map or routine. Set aside some time each week, each month, each quarter to do just a little bit. Focus on your development. The key, though, is just be consistent and don't let up. Keep moving forward. You have to remember, patience isn't about waiting. It's about building. It's about trusting that the steps you're taking today, no matter how small they are creating a foundation, not just for your transition, but also to improve what you've got going on today and to make you more apt or more able to pivot when future opportunities come along. Okay, we're rounding third. We're heading for home. Close range group. Have a growth mindset. Redefine what's possible. Every skill you've developed has value, and every gap is just an opportunity to grow. Embrace learning and stay adaptable. Medium range group. Surround yourself with positive influences. The people around you will either help you grow or hold you back. Be intentional about your circle and seek out those who inspire, challenge, and energize you. Long range group. Learn patience. Time is your ally. Focus on the process, celebrate the small wins, and continually prepare yourself for the unexpected. Patience isn't about waiting, it's about building. As always, thank you for listening to or watching the episode. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out, social media, or send me an email. The links are in the show notes, and I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave a rating. Ratings do two things. You can tell me what I need to fix or improve, and the more ratings also gets the podcast recommended to more people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. Last, don't forget to sign up. We have a newsletter. So remember, the path ahead is one of growth, discovery, and new opportunities. And it all starts with a shift in how you see the road ahead. Because no matter where you stand today, your transition is coming. And the key to thriving in it is to be default optimistic.